AMG Hobby Talk number 44. We have the prodigal Shari has returned. Shari, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Couldn't be
Yes,
better.
and I'm going to be wonderful too when I air some footage that we're going to have tonight. It's going to be very exciting. I'm enjoying it. Steve and Shari both got a chance to see it. I got to be honest. I'm proud of a lot of things I do. This is some of my best work, and I didn't really have to do much to it. It was already pretty much gold, but that little cherry on top is all it needed. Steve, the collector of scalps, collector of people, how are you?
I'm great. Looking forward to taking this episode off. Now that Shari's back, I'm just going to sit back and enjoy.
There you go. So the majority of the conversation here. So I'm going to go over some feedback that we got on the last episode. So thank you everybody to the feedback. We did touch on some of the CT scanning thing and some of the concerns about that. We touched on it, and we also gave some perspective from the store and everything. And Steve was able to give a little insight there. We did get a little feedback on that, so I'll make sure I acknowledge it as well. I always appreciate, and we appreciate any feedback we get, especially comments on the videos and such. The engagement is always good, and the thumbs up and that is good as well. And also at the same time, we're going to keep working towards getting a couple more subscribers. We're going to slowly chip our way up, and that's going to be part of the plan. So again, any engagement is always appreciated, and feel free to throw in comments. If you do have any more pressing comments or anything you want to make sure that you reach out and get some more information on, you can use the contact points. So I'm going to put the little scrolling ticker across the bottom, but at the same time, you can also use the AMG Collectibles.ca website, and you've got links in the description to all of those, so you can reach out directly to the store if you need a quicker response. If it's something less time sensitive and you just want an answer for the next episode, then you can leave something in the comments and we'll respond to that as well. So let's get into it here. I'll touch on a couple of comments, and then we'll hit on the eBay auctions as well as the trade night. So we'll make sure we mention both those things. And then we'll spend the rest of the time talking about Fanatics Fest, because Shari was at Fanatics Fest, and we've got some images, some sights and sounds, and a little bit of everything to give you a little background on that. So first one here for the last episode, we've got Sanderson DeOr. So Eric opined here. The use of CT scanners is simply fraud, period, end of sentence. He has very strong feelings on this matter. So we definitely touched on that. Powerpuff Girls for life here. Another great episode. Steve for AMG MVP. So there you go. So you've been MVPized. So you're not only a minor hockey legend, you are an MVP.
Obvious choice.
Obvious. So we've got here 902 VTG is the handle here. These sets will be released, unfortunately, before we get more bonus Blair. So I did want to make sure I read this because we got a bonus Blair reference. Hashtag we want Blair. So there is an upswell.
Blair.
That's right. We got, and it came with a hashtag, so I had to acknowledge that. So here we go. We got Hockey 99. So more praise for you, Steve. Get ready for this. This is going to be more praise for you. I know you shy away from it, but here's more praise.
Let me hit record. Okay, go ahead.
So Saga United says, Steve, thank you for bringing credibility to hobby. Little did you know you brought credibility to hobby. Now, every person opens a box will be wearing a tinfoil hat if they don't get the results they're hoping for, deluding themselves into thinking before the CT scanners enter the chat. They had a greater chance of getting the big hit. Going forward, I hope the manufacturers find ways to package boxes to fend off the CT scanners to restore confidence in the entire system. Keep up the great work and stick it to the rude customers. All praise. All praise. And the last
Sounds
one,
like a good one.
It is a good one. There you go. I Gotham Collections also chimes in. Great video. I don't have the guts to buy the big boxes, but if I did, I wouldn't hesitate by getting them from AMG. Go Sons Go. Spartacat is the goat. So we got a Spartacat and we want Blue. So thank you all for the comments. We appreciate that. Wanted to make sure we acknowledge that. Also, we mentioned, Shari was mentioned before we went live, is that the trade night is coming up on the 30th, I think is the date on there. So it's going to be right at the end of the month. So bear that in mind. We will remind you again. I think we'll have one more episode before that. So we'll give you another reminder, but just so that you know that the trade night will be coming up once again. I'm only going to share one card this time around because it is pertinent to the eBay auctions. Again, links are in the description. So I want to share it with you since it is one of the chases that a lot of people go after. So we do have a Connor Bedard card and a Connor Bedard sighting. So this is the SPX rookie autograph. So we've got the little piece of jersey to go along with the autograph. That is going to be available in the auctions. The auctions run Sunday to Sunday. So just remember that Sunday to Sunday is when the auctions run. And if you need any information, go to the links. You can find that information on there. All right, perfect. So we've got that covered. And what we want to do now is we want to start talking about Fanatics Fest. So Shari was at Fanatics Fest. What I'm going to do is we've got images and we've got some videos. I've muted some of the videos so you can see. And we will share one of the videos we will share with sound because it adds to the ambiance. Yeah. Now, it is copyright protected music. Unfortunately, this channel is not monetized. That's not the point. The point is that we need to enjoy it in its full capabilities. So I think we need to have that. So let's share a couple of images here, and we'll talk with Shari about Fanatics Fest and get a little bit of the lay of the land on this. And we'll do a little comparison because they were all still at the National. So we've got it at the PSA Team store. We did get reference to this. Brad mentioned this on my live when we were chatting about it. We've got the Gem Mint 10 with a hot dog.
Yeah. That the hot dog, it's so funny. I would eat hot dogs every day if I could. And then so we went in, we didn't realize that the shirts could actually be customized. We thought we were just picking Summer seen the I Love PSA one. She went to pick it up and all the rest of them were blank. They're like, no, you can actually customize them, which we didn't realize. So of course had to go Gem Mint 10 hot dog.
Indeed. So I just thought, yeah, he showed that, and I was sitting there like, why is there a hot dog on it? And then it mentioned, yes, you can customize it. So Shari partook in that option. So there you go.
Yeah.
So that's from the PSA Team store, because it's part of their setup. They had a store where there's merch, and kind of as Shari is alluding to, you could customize the merch, which is part of. So let me just go high level, and you can tell me if you agree with this. My take on it, and I had two different people. I had Brad chat about it, but also Neo Cards and Comics was on the live stream as well. Both of them attended it, and what it really come down to is that a lot of people try to compare the National in this, and I said it's not the National. I even called it the unnational. I went as far as to say, like, it has a card show in it, but it's a completely different thing. You're selling experiences, you're selling these activities that people can partake in. It's supposed to be this atmosphere. It's a fest. It's just by adding the word fest in it, it's a completely different vibe than what you're trying to do there.
Absolutely. And yeah, there were so many different different spaces that you could go to. Yes, there was a card show there, but like you said, it's a fest. It's everything sports. And then there was some like pop culture as well, lots of celebrities, athletes, and just the environment and the atmosphere was unbelievable. I thoroughly enjoyed everything about it. And the kids and the families that were there, again, because it is a fest and not just a card show. So it really was awesome.
Excellent. So here we got the shot of everybody with their different shirts. We got that going on. So let me scroll through here and I'll zip forward. Let me see if I can just go ahead.
I just had to send Brad a message, tell him podcast voices, please, because all I can hear is him outside my door yelling.
Oh, yeah. Nice. All right. So here, let's share this one here. So then this is, I think, the outside of the Javits Center. Is that the outside?
It is. Yeah. Yeah. That was coming right up. So our hotel was 2 blocks directly up the street. So 4-minute walk right down, which was perfect. The center is absolutely beautiful. It's huge.
Absolutely. So this one gets you kind of a shot as well. So it shows off the Javits Center. An important note is, as I said, it is a different kind of thing. That's why I say the comparison isn't fair, because it's serving two different audiences. Also, you kind of take the Cleveland IX Center, which had its things going on with it, but this building is kind of state of the art as far as conventions is concerned.
Absolutely.
It's what it's designed for. And you can see the amount of space and the high ceilings and everything going on. It's got all these different areas that you can funnel people, and that's why you had panels and all kinds of things going on that was separate from just, again, the card show was this one element to an overall package and things that you could do.
Oh, yeah. And then they had the theater down on the bottom floor. That's where they did all of the panels. There's a food court there. The AC was perfect. Internet worked. Everything was great, honestly. Oh, this one here. So this is one of the first, what would I call it? One of the activities you can do when you come in. So we got there at 9:30 Friday. And when we walked in, I was like, I don't know, there's not that many people here right now. But of course, we went in through the front entrance. General admission was down through the basement, which we didn't realize until I think it was Saturday or Sunday when we went down to Saturday. Actually, I went down to one of the panels, and there was actually a picture in there. I showed you all thousands of people lined up trying to get in. But this one here, so if you shoot 2 hoops and you get them in, then you can pick one of the prizes. So Summer went, Brad went, and I got my 2 hoops right in.
Nice. What kind of prizes do you get? Like shirts or what?
No, I got a reusable Brooklyn basketball bag.
Okay. Nice. Fair enough. I think, though, this is indicative of kind of what we were just talking about. Like, so again, you wouldn't see this at the National. You've got a little, like a little mini basketball court setup with the net and everything. And this is one of many. So we'll see a couple of examples here. And I'll also talk about a few that I know were there that were part of it. WWE had a big presence, and we're going to see some pictures here in a minute that are going to play into that. but also there was some experiences because WWE for WrestleMania has their whole WrestleMania access. So they're already very good at this. So for them, it was old hat just to be like, yeah, oh, festival, yeah, sure, we've got some stuff that we can do. Yeah, you want the audience to be able to participate in? Yeah, sure, why not? So they've got things that they can bring out like this. They're used to it. So for them, it's easy. For these other places, they were able to build out some of these different activities to let people try some stuff. So this one here is going to be a little piece of video. I'm going to mute this one, but I'm going to let it play just for a little bit. So you can kind of get a little bit of the vibe here and just kind of walking around and checking out some of the different things. Again, it's very spacious, especially when we got room. Now, one thing I'm going to pause here. We've got the infamous ray gun is there in the background. And that's become the subject. I've gotten so much entertainment value from the whole ray gun. I do appreciate that that's part of the mural here that was included. So let me just let that play. We got the Lids Hobby Shop, and there was like a Lids exclusive thing where you could get a box with some hats and things like that. That's one of a handful of different exclusives that were available. Again, it's a festival. That's why I said treat it like an all-star fan fest, or treat it like that happen to have a card show attached. It'll make way more sense of what this actually was. So I think that'll kind of help with that. So then here is a UFC Octagon. They had the UFC was also part of this. And same idea. So again, you've got the space, but then you've got all these little activities that people can line up and participate in.
Yeah.
Now, Shari, one question for you related to this. One of the criticisms that I heard is that the whole VIP package thing was a little disappointing in the sense that for what you pay for a VIP, there were benefits, of course, but then like the gift bags and stuff like that was a little bit lacking. Was that kind of your experience with that one?
Yeah, I mean, I guess people are going to be looking for more in a gift bag. I personally wasn't. Like, gift bag, okay, great. The confusing thing was people didn't know there was a gift bag because you didn't get it. So I actually have one here. So when we went up, we got our badges. You did not get your gift bag at that time. So when you went into the show, there's kind of an administration, registration, etc., all along the front. You actually had to go there to pick up your gift bag. So these are the gift bags, but we did not know that until Sunday. I think we ended up picking these up. But yeah, so you get the gift bag here, the Fanatics bag. You got the PSA magazine. What else was in here? You had the skip the line pass where you could go to the Tops booth and pick up your boxes. So you could skip the line, fast pass, I guess you would say. And then we have these two here, the Hobby and the Blaster. And you can see it does say the Fanatics Fest on them.
And so there's some exclusive parallels. There were some exclusive parallels in those products that were available only. So you had to get the box there to be able to get that specific thing.
Yeah. And then a couple of different like magnets. There was a 2024 Heritage Pack, some pins, and a lanyard. So that's basically what came in the bag there.
Absolutely. Now, one thing I did hear about relating to that Fast Pass. Now, the Fast Pass is actually a decent add to that. But one of the things that I saw was, and I think Neo made reference to this, and that is that if you didn't time it, so basically, if you're not used to these festivals or like a convention, a lot of people try to use their Fast Pass all at once. Well, the problem is if every VIP uses their Fast Pass, Steve, then you've just got a line for Fast Pass. Yeah. All you did was buy yourself into a different line. So if you were willing to wait a little bit, just past the initial rush when some people just didn't have the patience, as long as they still had the inventory there, then you could use your Fast Pass and walk right to the front of the line and not have to be in a line when you had a Fast Pass.
And so the thing about that too, so they had limited numbers for each day. But like I said, it was kind of confusing because you have to pick up your gift bag at a different area. And where we didn't pick ours up until Sunday, we didn't know that every day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you could go to the Tops booth. So you get the one skip the line, but you can go in the line and get the boxes. So we didn't realize that. So we missed out on the Friday and Saturday boxes. And we only got ours on Sunday. Which a lot of people didn't realize either.
Nice. Very good. Now, I showed the video a little bit earlier while we were talking, and that was basically a wall of like WWE style belts. So they had different belts with all these different teams included as part of it. And one of the feedbacks I got was that WWE, again, mentioning that they're used to this kind of thing. So for them, their different displays and different things, they knew what they were doing. They understood to get, hey, we're going to show off, here's Cody Rhodes' gear from WrestleMania. Here's we've got Razor Ramon's tights from one of his matches back in the day, because WWE doesn't have a museum, but they've got a warehouse full of stuff that they can bring out for these kind of things to show it off. And you got Andre the Giant's boots. So basically you can go through a lot of historical figures because they've collected and accumulated all this memorabilia. So they can build a museum basically and bring it anywhere in the world that they want to be able to do this kind of thing. So they're uniquely qualified to participate in this kind of event.
And I don't know if I included the video. I don't think so. The WWE booth area, I guess you could say, they had, so you can see it in the right hand screen there on that photo. They had a massive screen, so the kids were just going bonkers for it. You can pick which character that you wanted to do, and you can actually get a video of yourself coming out to the music, the whole shebang. Like, it was unbelievable. Kids were lined up there all day, every day.
Yeah, well, that was one of the big.
I'd say there's several adults lined up as well.
Oh, there was. Yeah, no, definitely. But the kids, I always love seeing the kids at shows and fest, obviously, what we call it now. But it was incredible.
Yeah, that was one of the big ones that when I saw that they had done it, I knew that would be a big hit, where you've got the Titantron, and you got the music, and you got the pomp and circumstance, and you got a ramp that people can walk up and down. And then when I understood that, to your point, that that they would actually film it, and then you could have access to it, and that right there, I knew immediately that's going to be a big draw for a lot of folks. Now, and some folks will come and go through the whole performance aspect of it and do all that, and for a brief shining moment, they could be a WWE superstar, or what happens when Steve walks into AMG with the pomp and circumstance, I think the fireworks and everything might be a little excessive. I'm impressed that you guys have the budget to do it for Steve every morning when he comes in, but you got to do what you got to do when he's an MVP. You got to give him the pomp and circumstance a whole bit.
Definitely.
So
and then even the UFC octagon there, Brad and I were walking out one day, and there's the two kids in the octagon, and the younger kid just picked up the older brother. They might have been like 10 and 7, somewhere in that range. And the kid just picked him up and body slammed him. It was so funny.
As you do. Why not?
Yeah.
So you can see there, to scale, you got a gigantic WWE championship. So you've got that going for you. And actually, one more thing here. If you look in the background here, over on this side, that's actually one of the Undertaker's gears.
It is.
So again, they've got a lot of displays with a lot of different things related to it. So if you're a WWE fan, this was a big thing. And then this little banner up here was the old Monday Night Raw banner. So like they literally went into the archives, old and new. So you had Andre the Giant, and you have Cody Rhodes, and you have the Undertaker, who represents, kind of the present, but also a little bit of the past, because he'd been around a long time. So you had a little bit of the old, a little bit of the new, and this is the newer championship belt design. So you got a chance to see all the different eras represented. And like I said, WWE is very good at this kind of stuff. This was like perfect for them, because they could show off.
They put up a great setup.
So you got a little bit of the Superstore. You can check out all the different hockey jerseys. Again, it is Fanatics. So I know some people brought it up, but obviously, shockingly, Panini was not there, did not have a setup or display. Leaf did not have a setup or display. It was Topps, who might be related to Fanatics. And there's no eBay because you've got Fanatics Collect. So again, it's Fanatics Fest. It's in the name. It's in the title. So it does make sense. And then you've got obviously a Fanatics store in there, because that's part of the deal as well.
Yeah, the store was really big, actually. They had a lot of items in there.
You gotta get your money for it, absolutely.
Yeah.
So then you can see your celebrity sightings. We got Gronk here in the background. And they made, so let's talk about this for a moment. And there's a couple more images that involve some celebrities here, and a couple of the images Shari took. So I'll touch on that as well. But let's touch on this. One of the things that they really wanted to do was focus in on where Fanatics has access to people. Gronk is a good example of that. Tom Brady was walking the floor. There's a couple of different other athletes and celebrities that were doing it. Livy Dunn was there, and they did some marketing things where Livy Dunn was out there trying to buy a Paul Skeens card. So they did that. Tom Brady bought a Tom Brady card, at one of the booths there. Gronk was out there hanging out. He did the 40-yard dash, which we'll talk about. Again, there might be video. There's a 40-yard dash, but Gronk did the 40-yard dash with a bunch of kids. He also did a thing where he spiked the PSA slab. So like you're incorporating all these elements together. Again, you're not getting this at the National, because they're trying to sell a completely different type of thing. And the panels are its own thing. I think it was, if you like seeing celebrities, that was an
Mhm.
audience that was getting drawn to this. If you wanted the
Definitely.
autograph signings, that's an audience that's getting drawn to. The autograph list was
Mhm.
huge. And talking about WWE, I think they had 15 different WWE people there.
Mhm.
All of their signings were sold out.
Yeah.
Every single one of theirs were sold out. I think there were a few other sellouts, but all the WWE
All
folks had
W,
sell
yeah.
out because all of them.
Yeah, so that picture there, I was back in the crowd. I couldn't see it, so I was just using my phone to see who was over there. And when I zoomed in, that's whose face I seen. So that at that time they'd had Gronk go over and do the 40-yard dash with the kids, and Brady was throwing balls to the kids. And that was over at the 40-yard dash area. That was pretty
Absolutely.
neat.
And you know, if you're trying to give, I think one of the commenters said that it was a really good event for kids who wanted to experience some of those things.
Yeah.
And so it is more expensive, but at the same time,
Mhm.
it's a fest. If you think
Yeah.
of a Comic-Con, if you think of one of those things, those are more expensive.
Mhm.
But they are also trying to provide you different. By the way, if you go to Comic-Con, most Comic-Cons, you're probably not going there to buy comics,
Mhm.
even though it's a Comic-Con. How does that make any sense? Well, it's a different type of event that they're selling you. It's not just going to a card show. So
Mhm.
here's some of the attempt. This was the attempt at the WWE Prison Box. Results were mixed. We'll just say that results were mixed.
Yeah, mixed and low.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Shallow.
Now we're going to get back to this in a moment
Oh boy.
because I have a different version of this video that we need to talk about. But we'll come back.
Yeah.
To this. So this is the 40-yard dash. We're going to come back to this.
Mhm.
So let me share this one. We got a little bit of
Yeah,
footage
so this
here.
is the entrance in the morning. So I was going down to the Saturday morning panel. What was it? Athletes and icons. So it was like Lala Anthony, Alex Earl, Libby Dunn, Taylor Rooks, Paige. I'm not going to say her name right.
So I know
Spranick?
that. So what's funny is when I saw the image, that's the only one I know other than Libby Dunn.
Yeah.
Paige
Oh.
Spranick. She's a golf influencer.
Yes, and Allison Kutch and Shelly Zalis. It was a great panel.
What were they talking about?
Honestly, it was not what I expected. More so Alex Earl and Taylor Rooks, they were the hosts. They basically questioned the other four, like about social media and influencing and women and athletes in the hobby and how they got to where they were and all that kind of good stuff.
Okay. Yeah, and that makes sense because again, the purpose of bringing those kind of panels together is that you can do that. Now, it's funny. Again, I've been emphasizing the point that they are two distinct types of events.
Mhm.
Where I think though that the national, we've actually talked about this in the past a little bit on the live and a few other places. It actually wouldn't be a terrible idea for the national to borrow some of the panels.
Mhm.
Maybe you focus in on certain topics that make sense. It doesn't have to be like a celebrity panel. It can be a panel talking about, let's teach you about something that actually relates to what you guys are doing here.
Mhm.
That wouldn't be the worst idea to incorporate into a national, because if you could have a space to do some of that, you could have CGC likes to do its grading school. That would be a thing that would totally make sense at the national, to have a little, grading school for them to be able, hey, by the way, you can come in here and you can learn a little bit about how they do their grading and stuff. And CGC could host that and they'd sponsor that piece, but then at the same time, people could learn something. So that wouldn't be a terrible.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, no, exactly. I'm pretty sure PSA actually did that, but I did not get to that panel.
Yeah, and I think that's where you can provide some value. So that's something where the national could borrow an element of that. They don't have to. Again, it's a different type of vibe that they're trying to sell for here at the Fanatics Fest, but you could borrow that idea. And in the old days of the national, they used to have like panels or little gatherings involved as part of it. There was an education piece to it as well, where the collectors or dealers or whatever were chatting with each other. They kind of went away from that to focus on the card show only. I think there's a happy medium where you can include a little bit of that, where people who are interested in it can participate if they want to.
Definitely.
So here is the big example of all the panels. So this is the one where I saw, when I saw it, I was like, okay, so who do I recognize? I can see Libby Dunn and Paige Spranick. That's all I got.
Yeah.
The other ones I'm not as familiar with.
Yeah, no, it was a great panel, and it was nice to hear from all of them.
Now, did you check out any other panels, or was that the main one?
No, I didn't actually. We were upstairs going through the fest, doing the activities, checking out the card show. And then in the middle, actually, Summer and I went to a musical. So kind of all over the place. But that was the one that I wanted to get down to see.
Very nice. So here's another example of the big banner displays and everything. So you can see there, you got the CGC one showing with the booth number and everything. So I want to talk about the card show here in a second, but before we do, we'll finish going through a couple of images here. So here's some memorabilia display with some card displays as well for Tom Brady. You know, Brad's guy here is included. And then we got a Jay-Z. Is this Jay-Z and Beyonce here?
No, Jay-Z and his daughter. So I was walking back from the other side, and there was a few people lined up there, and Brad and I were walking. I was like, what are they looking at? Because I knew it was some kind of a club, like a VIP club in there, but I didn't know what. And then I seen the 4040 sign, seen Jay-Z. So he had redone his bar 4040 inside of the show. So all the athletes, pop culture and influencers, that's where they were all kind of hanging out. When we looked up, it was him.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
So there you go. So you, like I said, so when you're looking at it, if you see the image, you'll see Jay-Z and you just see the back of a woman's head. So I was just guessing, but it's like, So thank you, Shari, for letting us know.
Problem.
But I did recognize it was Jay-Z. So I was like, all right, very good. So now we got some art included. So we got a Crosby piece of art. By the way, if you look at the piece of art, like you can see the glove is actually real gloves that are raised on top of it to give it that 3D effect and kind of pop it a little bit. We got Gretzky with the Titan stick included on there. And I've actually seen this Jordan one before. It's actually a very cool display, though. It's a very unique
really nice.
piece. We got Bobby Orr and we got Connor Bedard. So we've got a couple different pieces of art. Here's some more of the WWE display again. Going back to what I was talking about earlier, they've got a ton of stuff they can use for things like this. And this is a lot of WrestleMania stuff. And if you see there kind of in the image there, they are starting to promote the Netflix because WWE is going to be putting all its stuff on Netflix forthcoming. So they're promoting that heavily to get people on board. So let's do a little video here. So this one is a little bit more about the card show. So while this is playing, let's talk a little bit about the card show. Obviously, there was a card show element to it. It was a little different. Can you give me kind of your impressions, your thoughts on the card show piece?
Yeah. From my own opinion and perspective, for me personally, there was much more variety there than the National. Obviously, the National is going to be like baseball, basketball, football heavy. But this one had a little bit of everything. Every booth had a little bit of everything. It wasn't just baseball or just basketball. They had a touch of everything that catered to everyone who might be attending, which was really nice to see. I didn't pick anything up personally. There's a few items I looked at, but I didn't end up grabbing. But like I said, just the variety itself, I found was better for me than the National.
Okay. Seems interesting.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the things that was going to be a curiosity because obviously the tables on this one are much more expensive because I want to say it's somewhere north of $3,000 for a table. So whoever is setting up, you got to be thinking about that already and setting up your table accordingly. So you're probably not going to have a lot of dollar boxes because it's probably not going to get the job done for you.
No, everything might have been one discount box every other table. But they had everything in the showcase. It was slabs and singles.
Now, one other thing that I noticed from it, and I'm curious about your thought on this. So I think from what I understand, Fanatics went for a standardized approach where all the showcases were provided by them. So it's a standard look to all the tables and the showcases and everything, table by table.
Yeah. So I was talking to Corey from Show Your Slabs and oh my goodness, so bad with names. I forget his name. Anyways, from Zion Cases. So they were down and had a booth selling Zion cases, which they basically sold out. So it was actually them that had provided all of the cases, and they're going to be coming out with them, selling them for retail. So they will be available for purchase in the coming months, I guess. But they're really well done. They're probably about, I don't know, 1.5 inches deep. They come with a cover, and like I said, they will be available for retail. But to be able to provide the exact same, have everything uniform, it definitely made it look a lot nicer.
Okay, and that's kind of what I was curious about, how it felt from your perspective, and it because obviously we're used to the card shows where some guys rent the showcases from places, and some of them provide their own. So you get a completely different look. You can see some dealers that have like the really old showcases that have been stuffed up for years and years and years. In this case, it was standardized. They're all brand new across the board, and they all look the same. So we've got an image of, social influencer Brad chatting. Now, I think I recognize this guy. I think he's a YouTuber. I think it's King of Cards.
King of Cards. It is.
Okay, so I did recognize it. I've seen he does a lot of vlogs, so it's one of those things there. So, Brad, schmoozing with his people. So,
he'd actually done one with Corey Walker. previously a video. I think it was the Montreal show. And so he has a video up on his page that ended up getting a few million views afterwards. And Corey was purchasing cards from him. So you can check that out, King of Cards. He's a great guy.
There you go. And then we got here a little demonstration of the customization piece of it. And you can see we've got the little hot dog decal down here at the bottom.
I suggested the hot dog, yes.
Yes, I can imagine. So we've got that there. And you can see an example of all the different types of decals that you could use to customize your merch if you wanted to have that on there. And then here is the 3-person race. So we'll leave this one, but we'll come back to the other one. Let me just see how much more stuff we got. Oh, and here's, I think this is the last one. So this is a group shot here. Again, you know, Brad, all doing all the social media influence. He was nice enough to take a picture with a fan, Michael Rubin.
Yeah.
So
we were there. It was, like I said, it was 9:30 in the morning on Friday, and we were all kind of just standing there. We're like, oh, may as well get a photo together.
Makes sense. I like it. So, Steve, before I get to the legendary race, and I will, and it's my favorite thing that I've been looking forward to this entire time we've been talking. Just your thoughts. So obviously we were able to see some images and some sights a little bit. Was it kind of what you were thinking it would be being the case here? Were you expected? A little different?
I just enjoyed taking the last 30 minutes off, but yeah, definitely you guys did a good job of describing it. It's, you know, it's a lot different than the national, a lot more inclusive for the hobbyist / fan. Definitely kid friendly. I've never been to that facility, but it definitely looks like it was spacious enough and set up enough that and apparently the AC worked and the communications worked. So that's we discussed that on a previous podcast about how important it is to have good Wi-Fi. So it sounds like they did it right anyway. I heard a couple of people saying, and like you guys touched on, it wasn't as much of a card show. There was cards there, but you know, it definitely catered to, you know, more interactive things to do. So yeah, it looks like it was a cool event, but I was in charge of keeping the lights on at the store. So maybe someday they'll let me attend one.
You did a great job.
I know.
There you go. Well, that's why you get theme music and pyro entrances. That's part of the deal. So let me ask you one or two questions then before we go to the little video.
Yeah.
So as far as this being the first go around, obviously there's things that can always improve. There's always going to be things that can improve. So let me ask this question this way. If you're trying to expose a new audience to it, which is kind of what you're doing here, you're doing the celebrity element to it. Do you think they've done enough, or is there some things that maybe should be updated to kind of make it so that, okay, you brought these people in the door, but at the same time you do have these cards in this thing? That doesn't necessarily mean make the card show bigger, but is there things that maybe they should do? Maybe they should give away packs or do something to kind of like, you know, give a little bit of something to the people that are coming in who might not necessarily be coming in. They might be coming for the Livy Dunn, you know, panel with Paige and all these other ladies. But at the same time, as you're coming in the door, hey, here's a free pack of tops. Something that you kind of get people in the ecosystem a little bit, while at the same time, you know, providing the rest of the experiences and the rest of it.
For sure. And like I heard people talking, like, should they have had the card show area a little more towards the front where you had to walk through the card show in order to get to all the rest of these different stages and setups. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, it was the first one. I don't know if it would necessarily make a difference to have the card show area in the front versus to where it was. I mean, it could. But I think if you're going there, you have an idea of what you're going there for. And if you're going to see the cards, you're going to go walk over to the cards. People who know that they're there, they're going to go over and view. And so they had, like you said, Livy Dunn, Gronk, Brady. They had a couple of different athletes and celebrities going through the card section. And that was, I guess, their way of getting people to go over there, because the kids were following, families were following, men and women were following over to that area. So I guess that was, instead of giving out packs, that was their way of doing that.
Sure. And I can understand that. The only reason I'm saying that I use the packs as an example, because I'm just thinking back to the 90s. In the 90s, at the card show, so I'll use the expo as an example. In the 90s, the hobby had quieted down a little bit. Not in the beginning of the 90s, the latter part of the 90s. In the early 2000s, it was quieter. Not quiet, because obviously we were still having the shows and, you know, we were attending. But the manufacturers at that time were pretty good about giving out promos. They were more than happy. Like they would go out. If you were by the booth, they're like, hey, we got these little free packets. You can have some cards, whatever. The point was, and we were already at a card show, but they were still trying to encourage, movement. So if you go there and you're not necessarily somebody who's looking to buy any cards, they would make sure you still left with some cards. Yeah. That was the point, because they still wanted you to be exposed to the product. So in this case, talking about the families or whatever, yeah, you're there to see Gronk, you're there to see Brady, but what if you had Brady have like a bag full of stuff, and as he throws some footballs and also hands some kids some packs, and they got their pack from Tom Brady, and there you go, you got some cards. And maybe down the road they collect cards, maybe they don't, but again, you're trying to serve two masters at the same time.
Absolutely. So and I think you could look at it the other way too. Like people who attend the card show being introduced to the other side of it, because as we know, a lot of people in the hobby or who attend the card shows, they're not interested in the other side of it. So you really are mixing the two.
Absolutely. So I think there's some opportunity there to do some stuff. Again, from what I understand, the Javits Center was a very good venue for what they were trying to do for that. And I think obviously being New York also meant that some people could go there and make a trip out of it. They didn't have to stay at the thing every day. They could go there for a day and then go visit New York, go check out some of the sights and sounds. Now, one other thing then before we finish up here, here's a question. I think I got Brad's kind of side of it, but let me take yours. So there's a multi-day pass and the VIP and everything. Is that given what they had there to do? Obviously, you had to get in line sometime to get into some of the stuff. Yeah. Is that something you think requires multiple days, or is it something where if you're really dedicated to, you could pretty much get most of what you wanted done in a certain day?
I think you probably could do the activity part of it all within one day. Now, mind you, like I said, we got there right at 9:30 when the doors opened. We went right in and there was nobody in line. And so we just went in and we did all the ones that we wanted to the first day, and we went back the second day and kind of did the same thing and redid those things. But I think you could definitely do it all in one day, but you would have to have a lot of patience because lines can be pretty long, especially for like the WWE, the UFC. They had a bigger size basketball court that was there. I showed you the Brooklyn basketball one, but they had a larger one there, the 40-yard dash, etc. Like the lines did get long come say 10:30. So it just kind of really depends. But if you were just going there for one day, I think you could manage to get through, see everything, not do everything, but it just depends.
Did you say something about the 40-yard dash?
Oh, I did.
I think so for folks listening in the audio version of it, you really will not get the full experience. You need the video version for this one.
You do.
So
the first day we did it. Oh, sorry.
We did. All I was going to say was we did mention the 40-yard dash, and Brad and Summer took advantage of this, and you can bask in the majesty of athleticism on display. It's really magical. So I'm going to play. So for the video people, you're going to get the benefit of this, but for folks that are on audio, you're not going to get quite as much out of it. But let's let it play.
Look at that technique.
It's majestic, truly.
It is. Oh my God, it's so good.
I'm reminded of, so Steve, I don't know if you remember, I want to say it was Wild World of Sports. It's the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
Oh,
yeah.
It was all those things.
I actually thought he might have been on one of those walking escalators in the airport or something to get him across that 40 yards. But that was impressive.
So that was the second day. So the first day we did it, the three of us did it. So you can see it on the wall too on the LED screen. It says like 4.54 seconds. That's the average time it takes an athlete to do the 40-yard dash. The first day the three of us did it, I twisted my lower back and I didn't do any more activities. But they did pretty good.
I think my favorite part about the whole thing was that you could tell that Brad was putting in because he was pumping the arms. The pumping of the arms is how you know that like the attempt's being made here.
He was determined.
Maybe you should have stuck to the hockey thing where you shoot at the four corners.
Yeah.
I would have mopped the floor with them. It almost sounds like a challenge.
It just reminded me, actually, I didn't have a photo or video, but they had a hockey shooting area too. And
Yeah.
in the shooting area, they had a top loading washer and dryer to shoot at.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Anybody
nice.
gets that? It's the Crosby. I didn't include the picture. I forgot.
Oh, that would have been a good one.
So that was neat.
Yeah, that would have been a good one. That's a
Yeah.
good one. So anyway, so that was good stuff. Thank you, Shari, for sharing all the different sights and sounds. We were able to share some of that. I played a lot of the video for those pieces of it without the audio on, because if you've been to a convention, all you hear is kind of the roar. It's like it's almost the sound of air, because you're hearing people moving around and the sound of air. You're really not getting too many distinct things. So I was listening to some of the audio, and it gets a little weird when you're trying to hear it that way. But it was fun to see some of these different aspects of it. Definitely a big event. It'll be interesting to see how they change it and evolve it as time goes on.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely something interesting. And again, I think the key here is that it's its own beast. Treat it like its own thing, separate. Don't try to compare it to any other card show, because it's own deal. We'll see if card shows start borrowing some elements of it, and vice versa, because they can both learn from each other and improve.
Yeah. And
we'll see if that goes forward. And maybe, just maybe, we'll get another round of the 40-yard dash if there's another Fanatics Fest.
Yeah. But no, overall, I thought it was a fantastic event, and it was done well.
Absolutely. Perfect. So I think what we'll do is we'll cut it there right on time. So I want to thank Shari for providing some of the images and everything that we were able to, so we could talk some Fanatics Fest. Steve, the MVP of AMG, collector of the scallops, collector of the people, here holding it down, offering us scintillating commentary as always. And thank you, Steve.
Blair's on vacation next week, so he won't be here.
Yeah. Well, and that's with the clamoring of the people. Hashtag we want Blair. Like, we've even got the hashtag going. Like, this is how serious it's getting. It's getting dire out here.
It's a summer of Blair, definitely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So again, all the contact points are going to be in the description, and also the scrolling ticker down there at the bottom. But the description will have all the information you need if you want to reach the contact points. Remember the auctions, Sunday to Sunday, every week they're on there. We showed you the Bedard card, but there's plenty of other things that are also up for auction. And there's some stuff that's buy it now that's available there, so you can check that out. Again, links in the description to all those things. We'll be back with the next episode. Next episode will be 45. We'll definitely talk. Now we're into the latter part of August, heading into September. Again, still a while away. Next episode will remind you about the trade night, but we're heading closer and closer.
One thing we need to add too, we got so busy talking. Actually, Credentials Hockey comes out Wednesday. So that'll be available in the store probably late afternoon on Wednesday. So you can reach out to the store for pricing. So I'm assuming that will have some guy named Connor Bedard in it as well. So yeah, that's I guess the big news for this week that's coming into the shop would be the Credentials.
That's how busy it was. We had to talk Fanatics, so we didn't even have time for Credentials. But
hopefully we'll touch on it. You know, I'll pick up a few cards that are open in the store, so maybe we'll have a few Credentials picks for next week.
Perfect. So those of you come in the store, buy some cool cards, pull something good, and then maybe we can showcase it in the next episode. So Shari and Steve, I want to thank you for checking out this episode. We thank you, and we'll catch you in the next one.